Hello students, in the previous class we have read about in chapter evolution the definition of evolution, historical background, Big Bang theory, origin of life on earth and theories of origin of life. We have completed all the theories along with the Miller's experiment to prove the chemical theory of evolution. We have also seen about the origin of first cell and evidences for the evolution. We have seen lots of evidences, and the first one, paleontology, we have discussed in detail. So today we will discuss about the embryological support for the evolution. Embryological support for the evolution means it is a biogenetic law which was proposed by Ernest Haeckel. Ernest Haeckel observed certain features during the embryonic stage common to all vertebrates that are absent in the adult. For example, the embryos of all the vertebrates, including human, develop a row of vestigial gill slits just behind the head, but it is a functional organ only in case of fish and not found in any other adult vertebrate. Means Ernest Haeckel want to say that when we observe the different embryos, the vertebrate, the embryos of different vertebrates, then during the embryonic stage, they all looking similar, and there some properties are also there which are common to all. But when these embryo develop and becomes adult, they look very different from each other. You can see in this diagram, in the first row almost all the structures are looking similar, but when we go lower side, then they develop into different type of organism. So Ernest Haeckel said in his biogenetic law that during the embryonic stage of all the vertebrates, they're looking similar, so maybe they have developed from common ancestor. However, this proposal was disapproved on careful study performed by the Carl Ernst von Baer. Means if you look very specific and in very detail about each of the embryo, there are so many differences. So this biogenetic theory was disapproved by the Carl Ernst von Baer. He noted that embryos never pass through the adult stage of the other animals. So this was the evolution based on embryo, and we have already studied about the fossils. Now the next evidence, when we observe the anatomy and the morphology of the different organism, it also gives some evidences that evolution is taking place. In this support, we have homologous organs and analogous organ. First we will talk about homologous organs. Homo means same and logos means morphology, means same morphology. Means this type of organ have same morphology or same origin, but the function may be different. Organs, so the definition is organs that perform the different function but have similar origin and structure are called homologous organs. For example, in case of humans, cheetah, bat and whale share similarities in pattern of bones of the forelimbs, although these forelimbs perform different function in these animals. Okay, we in case of humans, cheetah, bat and whales, the forelimbs, when we talk about the forelimbs, all have radius ulna bones and tarsals, which are present in our forearms. All the bones are present in all these organisms, but human use its forearm for uh, capturing something or holding something. Cheetah use its forelimbs in running. Bat use its forelimb in flying, while whale use for swimming. So they have different function, but the origin is common. Another example is thorns of bougainvillea and tendrils of the cucurbitaceae represents the homology. In case of bougainvillea and cucurbita, the structures thorns and tendrils both are modification of stem. They both the structure arises from the auxiliary bud, but bougainvillea form the thorns which are present in the bougainvillea, it perform the function of protection from the browsing animal, while the tendrils which is present in the cucurbita, it perform the function of support. Tendrils provide the support so that plant can grow up by this support. This is divergent type of evolution. Divergent means as we said that in case of homologous organ the origin is same. So uh, same type of features starting they are developed from the same type of cell, but according to their requirements they develop different types of structures. Means internally they are same, but for different functions they radiate, they diverge their function. So it is a type of divergent evolution. Okay. Homology indicates common ancestry. Common ancestry means when we observe the homologous organs, it is said that must be there were a common ancestor for these type of organism. And when we talk about the analogous organ, ana means different and logos means morphology, means different morphology but common function. So the definition is they are not anatomically similar organs but perform similar functions. For example, wings of the butterfly and of birds. When we observe the wings of butterfly and birds, both involve in same function, that is flying. But in case of butterfly or in any insect, it is made up of chitin material, while the wings in case of birds, it is made up of feather. So different type of origin but common function. Another example is the eye of octopus and of mammals. Both involve in same function, that is vision, but they develop from the different type of tissues. Next example is the flippers of penguins and dolphins. And in case of plant, sweet potato and potato both have different origin. Sweet potato is the modification of root, while the potato is modification of stem. Analogous organs is convergent evolution. Analogous organ shows convergent evolution. Convergent means they develop from the different type of tissue. They develop from the different type of tissues. Like you can see like wings of the butterfly and the birds, like they develop from different type of tissues, but ultimately they work for same function, and that is flying. So it converge its nature. Therefore analogous organ shows convergent type of evolution, while in case of homologous organ it is divergent, because it diverge itself. Starting they were similar, but as the environment changes they develop the different type of pattern, so it is divergent. But in case of analogous, they develop from different type of organs, and when there is requirement then they perform accordingly. So it is convergent type of evolution. Therefore, analogy do not indicates the common ancestry, because the organs are developed from the different type of tissues, different type of cells. So the common ancestry is absent here. You can see these examples in diagram. Homologous organs, it is bougainvillea, it represents thorns. Cucurbitaceae, it represents the tendrils. Another example of the four limbs of man, cheetah, whale and bat, you can see here. In all the organism, radius, ulna and palm bones are present. And in case of analogous organ, you can see the wings of bat and butterfly. Both have, in case of bird it is of feather, and in case of butterfly it is of chitin material, but both involve in flight. Next evidence is biochemical evidence. So similarities in case of proteins and the genes performing a given function among the diverse organism give hints to the common ancestry. Means when you observe the cell of any animal, plant or any microorganism like bacteria, in all type of cell there are many biomolecules like the proteins, like the genes, DNA, RNA. Most of the things, most of the biomolecule you can see there, and all the things made up of same type of component. Means DNA is made up of many nucleotides having in different organism the arrangement of the nucleotides may differ. That's why they are different organism, but they develop from same type of material. DNA is made up of nucleotide is made up of some sugars, pentose sugars, and nitrogen bases and phosphate are there. So the common things, so from the common material all the organism develop. It states that all common ancestry for all diverse organism. These biochemical similarities points to same shared ancestry as the structural similarities among the diverse organism. Means the biochemical evidences clearly state that there is some common ancestor, and during the course of time, due to different type of habitat, different type of habit and other things, we diverge itself and produce different kinds of animals, plants and other microorganisms. So the next evidence for the evolution is natural selection. It can be understood with the help of industrial melanism. What it is? It is a case study actually of the natural selection which was seen in the England in 1850s. That is before the industrialization. A peppered moth, in a peppered moth. In the diagram you can see the moths. It was observed that there were more white winged moths on the tree than the dark winged or the melanized moth. In the first diagram you can see there is a tree trunk, and next to the tree trunk there are so many white winged moths are present, and very few, only one in the diagram, melanized or the dark winged moth is present. uh, First diagram is the time when there is no industrialization, but in the second diagram you can see the scenario after industrialization. Means in 1920s there were more dark winged moths in the same area. Means now the proportion is reversed. White winged are less in number, dark winged moths are more in number. How it happens? During post industrialization period, the tree trunks became dark due to industrial smoke and soot. Under this condition, The white-winged moth did not survive due to the predators. Dark-winged or melanized moth survived. Means during the industrialization, the industries produce pollution, soot particle means the dust particles, smoke, which deposit on the tree trunks, which becomes black in color, which make the tree trunks black or the dark in color. That's why the moth which are dark in color are not visible to their predators, but the white colored moth easily observed by the predators, and therefore its predation is high, so its number goes down. But before the industrialization, what happens? Thick growth of almost white color lichens covered the trees in that background. The white winged moth survived, but the dark colored moth were picked out by the predators. You know that lichens which are white in color, lichens arises more in that place where pollution is absent, because lichens are the indicator of pollution. When pollution level increases, the number of lichens decreases. So before the industrialization period there were no such pollution, so on the tree trunks this white color lichens deposited, and on this tree trunk many white winged moths, when they sit there, the predators cannot observe them, but the dark color moths easily observed by the predators. So the predation of dark color moths was more at that time. So it is a natural selection by the nature. The next evidence of evolution is by anthropogenic action. Anthropogenic means man-made. You can use this term for anything anywhere where something is made by humans. So anthropogenic action means man-made actions. Man developed resistance of mosquito to the pesticide. How? When DDT was introduced to control the mosquitoes, it was tremendously successful. Most of the mosquitoes were sensitive to DDT and were therefore killed. In that population of mosquito, few mosquitoes became resistant to DDT and survived. They multiplied, and now almost total population of mosquitoes became resistant to DDT. DDT is an insecticide. It kills the insect. Initially, when we use the DDT, it kill most of the insects. But when we use excessively, some develop the resistance, and now these resistant mosquito are more in number, and DDTs fail when we apply in the field. DDT is an insecticide or the pesticide. Diphenyl trichloroethane. The same pattern has been observed in the bacteria, which are multi-drug resistant due to the excessive use of drugs and medicines. Therefore, doctor prescribed to less use of antibiotics, because if you use excessive antibiotics, it initially it kill the bacteria, but when you continuously use the antibiotics, it can kill the useful bacteria also, and the harmful bacteria may develop the resistance. So there will no use of antibiotics if they develop the resistance. Next, various breeding program has created breeders that differ from other breeds, for example dogs, but still are of the same group. Means in case when we study the breeding programs, human develop so many breeds of different animals and the plants. So these examples can argue that if within few hundred years man could create new breeds, could not nature have done the same over millions of years? The next topic is adaptive radiation. The process of evolution of different species in a given geographical area, starting from a point and radiating to other areas of geography or the habitat, is called adaptive radiation. It means at any place, at any geographical area, if there are many members of same species is present, but most of the members, if they move to the other geographical areas, then according to the new geographical area they adapted itself. So during the course of time they look something different from the earlier. This is called adaptive radiation. First observed by the Darwin during his journey to the Galapagos Islands. Darwin's finches, or the small black birds, it represents one of the best example of adaptive radiation. From the original seed-eating features, many other forms are altered beaks, arrows, enabling them to become insectivorous and vegetarian finches. When the Darwin goes to the Galapagos island, there he observed the birds which are black in color, but they have different type of beaks. So after the research he found they are all are developed from similar bird. The original one was seed eating, but when due to the adaptive radiation they where they find which type of food they adapt their beak as for example, if they goes to the place where the insects have to be eat, then they adopt their beak similar to or you can say that it is useful to eat the insect. Another example is of Australian marsupials. Each are different from other, evolved from common ancestor, but all within the Australian island continents. When more than one adaptive radiation appear to have occurred in an isolated geographical area, it representing the different habitats, we can call this convergent evolution. For example, placental mammals and Australian marsupials. We can see these things in this figure. In the center, the founder species means the original one which is present earlier, which was present in the earlier days, but due to movement towards the different geographical area, this bird, its generation developed different shape of beaks according to their feed. And another example of placental mammals and Australian marsupials, you can see their niche. Niche means its profession. For example, mole and marsupial mole both are burrower. They dig the soil and live inside by making burrows. Similarly, you can see the placental mammals, lesser anteater and numbat anteater. Both are anteaters. So these two organisms which perform the same function, but they perform the same function, therefore it is convergent in nature. Okay, so other examples are given here. You can see in the NCERT the wolf and Tasmanian wolf is mentioned, so you must remember its name. The other topic is biological evolution. According to the Darwinian theory of the natural selection, the nature select for fittest, and fitness is based on characteristics which are inherited. Some organisms are better adapted to survive as compared to other in a hostile environment. Hostile environment means if the environment is adverse, not suitable for everyone, then in that environment only the fittest one will be survive. Fitness is the end result of the ability to adopt and get selected by nature. Another scientist, Lamarck, had said that evolution of the life form had occurred but driven by use and disuse of organs. He gave the example of giraffe to evolve their neck by foraging leaves on the tall trees and had to adopt by the elongation of their necks. In case of Lamarck, he used the term use and disuse, means the organs. When you can see in your body also, there are so many organs which are not functional at this time. But in the previous generation, so many years ago, millions of years ago, maybe the organism from which we are the descendants, the function these organs which are not functional in current time in our body may be functional at that time. Therefore it is still present in our body. For example, vermiform appendix, it was developed in uh, the organisms which can digest the cellulose. Similarly, when you see your eyes like this, at the this corner, at the corners of the eyes, this is the eye, and at this corner some skin fold is present. It is known as nictitating membrane. Nictitating membrane is utilized by the fishes and the organism which live in the aquatic environment to swim in the water, to visible to for that, so that they can swim inside the water, and also at the same time they can see all the things, visibility. But this time it is present as the vestigial organ in humans, but presence shows that maybe it earlier it was functional. Nictitating membrane open and close, it closes the eye, it covers the eye when any animal swim into the water. Okay, so because due to the some changes, we adopt a different habitat, we skip the use of this nictitating membrane, hence it reduced. Similarly, we do not use our uh, appendix, so it become vestigial. That's the point which Lamarck said, if we do not use any organ, it will going to reduce, but if we use more some organs, for example, he gave the example of giraffe. They try to eat the leaves which are present at very much height, and by continuously try to elongate its neck during the course of time, it elongate much. And as you know that giraffe now has the longest neck in the world. Okay, but the Darwin theory of the evolution has two key concepts: branching descendants and natural selection. Darwin theory of natural selection was based on certain observations like limited natural resources, overpopulation, competition for resources, struggle for existence, and survival of the fittest. Okay, these are the points for natural selection of the organism. Okay, uh, it means the individual will survive which is fittest, which will prove itself there, because in the environment the natural resources are limited and the population is unlimited. So there will be fight for each of the natural resources, and thus the which one who is fittest will survive and will acquire the natural resources. Hence competition for the resources and struggle for the existence, survival of the fittest only. Okay, so the next topic is mechanism of evolution. This topic we will take in the next lecture. Thank you, class.